The world froze in disbelief when the History Channel cut to an emergency midnight broadcast. No warnings, no teasers, just a flashing red screen announcing a single, jaw-dropping truth. The long-lost secret chamber of Oak Island had finally been opened. Within minutes, millions were glued to their screens, eyes locked on the windswept Nova Scotia coastline. Under blinding floodlights and the watchful gaze of drones, history was unfolding. Massive, centuries-old doors groaned open as a robotic crawler ventured inside, revealing towering stone arches, walls carved with celestial maps, and mysteries that defy explanation. Want to witness every astonishing moment? Smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because what lies inside will change everything you thought you knew. The air inside was thick, charged with centuries of silence. Then, as cameras focused, Rick Lagina's voice cracked across the broadcast. "This changes everything we thought we knew." But the world was ready for treasure. A chest of gold coins, dusty relics, maybe a few ancient artifacts. What awaited instead was far stranger. The crawler revealed an intricate maze of machinery, massive iron gears meshed with wooden pulleys, pressure systems sealed in resin, a level of engineering that should have been impossible for the 14th century. Pipes jutted from walls, levers and counterweights loomed like guardians, and a faint, pulsing glow emanated not from electricity, but some ancient chemical reaction designed to endure centuries. This wasn't a treasury. It was a vault of mechanisms, a fortress of engineering designed to guard, or maybe even operate, something mysterious. Questions exploded live on air. Were the Templars hiding gold, or had they constructed something far more ambitious, something the world was never meant to see? The decision to proceed was tense. A lever was pulled, the counterweight slammed against stone, and with a groaning roar, a hidden passage opened. Cameras swung, capturing a sight that left everyone breathless. Crates sealed with iron and wax were pried open, spilling a cascade of treasures across the floor. Gold bars, stacked like eternal bricks, reflected the floodlights. Coins from Byzantium, Spain, and Moorish lands tumbled like rivers, jewel-encrusted chalices gleamed, and golden crosses and crowns glittered in chaotic heaps. Experts whispered, trembling, this was at least $350 million in visible treasure, and that was only the top layer. But the gold raised new questions. Some bars bore strange symbols, sigils unknown to any mint or kingdom, suggesting the hoard wasn't mere currency. It was part of an encoded system. As the camera panned over the treasure, unease settled over the crew. This was no final reveal. The glittering riches felt like a distraction, hiding something far more important deeper in the chamber. Then they saw it. Iron boxes stacked meticulously behind the gold. When finally opened, the true secret emerged. Parchments wrapped in oilskin, shockingly preserved, as if the Templars had anticipated centuries of concealment. Hands shook as scrolls were unfurled beneath the harsh floodlights, Aramaic texts describing forbidden gospels, Latin diagrams of machines with wings, rotating fortresses, inventions centuries ahead of their time, and Greek notations detailing star alignments and coded formulas. Silence fell. From a smaller chest, an iron clasp broke, revealing a codex with cracked red wax, still bearing a symbol instantly recognized, the papal seal of Clement V, the Pope who dissolved the Templars under French pressure. The implication was staggering. Had Clement secretly colluded with the Knights, safeguarding knowledge erased from history? Scholars gasped. This wasn't just treasure. It was forbidden knowledge, capable of rewriting centuries of history. But the manuscripts were only the beginning. Strange anomalies erupted across Oak Island. Instruments went haywire. Seismographs recorded tremors that defied geology. Compass needles spun in wild patterns. A slow, rhythmic pulse seemed to vibrate through the entire island, as if the chamber itself had become a giant tuning fork. Crew members reported whispers echoing through stone in French, Latin, or something indescribably alive. Marty blamed equipment interference, but Rick was silent, pale, listening with a focus that unnerved everyone. He whispered, "This was deliberate." The chamber was not just a vault, it was a resonant trap, a system of deterrence designed by minds that understood stone and sound far beyond modern comprehension. Then new shadows appeared offshore. Unmarked vessels floated silently, their lights off. Drones captured dark figures, observing the excavation with night vision. Alerts flooded the Lagina's phones. Fragments of documents, photos, coded messages, all pointing to a secretive order guarding Oak Island for centuries. One warning was chilling. You opened what was never yours to open. The message was clear. The gold, the manuscripts, the relics, they were not free for the taking. Centuries-old bloodlines had sworn to protect this trove, and now the true struggle for Oak Island had begun. The warning extended far beyond Nova Scotia. The Vatican could no longer stay silent. Leaks revealed photographs and manuscripts, long thought hidden in archives. Texts describing relics and gospels matching the Oak Island finds. The exposure threatened centuries of carefully preserved narrative. Even the Pope addressed the discovery. Vaguely, cautiously, speaking of the sacred need for care when handling heritage too powerful to release. What had started as treasure hunting had become a global revelation. Forbidden knowledge, ancient machines, and a secret guardianship centuries in the making, all exposed to the world in a single broadcast. And the question hung in the air: what else lies hidden beneath Oak Island, waiting for those bold or foolish enough to disturb it? Why was the Vatican so careful to avoid directly mentioning the gold or the manuscripts? What truth were they desperate to keep hidden? Silence fell over Rome after that single, measured statement, a silence louder than any denial. To many observers, it became clear the Church was concerned with something far deeper than mere treasure. The gold itself was irrelevant. What truly mattered was knowledge, information capable of shaking centuries of doctrine with a single line, once translated. As scholars examined the manuscripts more closely, an astonishing revelation emerged. Hidden among the folded pages were not initially recognizable as religious texts, but as star charts, maps, carefully overlaid on the Atlantic Ocean, like a celestial grid. Historians quickly realized the symbols weren't random. These maps traced a triangular network linking Oak Island to Portugal, Jerusalem, and even the depths of South America. Superimposed on modern maps, the coordinates revealed a geometric lattice spanning continents. It suggested the Templars weren't merely charting trade routes, they were mapping lines of energy, channels of natural force, what modern esoteric scholars call ley lines. The implications were staggering. Oak Island was just one node in a global network of hidden vaults, each potentially safeguarding treasures, relics, or forbidden knowledge. If these star maps were authentic, then the $350 million chamber was only the opening act, the first chapter in a story spanning oceans. It explained why the manuscripts spoke repeatedly of guardianship and secrecy. The Knights weren't just hiding wealth, they were distributing it across a planetary system designed to remain invisible until activated by the right key. Some experts speculated that controlling this network could shift geopolitical power itself. Whoever possessed it could command history, energy, and truths humanity had never been meant to uncover. When the news broke, the media erupted. CNN's ticker ran, "World's largest treasure found." The BBC followed with, "Oak Island secrets shake historical records." Al Jazeera called it, "a discovery that could destabilize religion and politics." Social media exploded, hashtags multiplying faster than analysts could track. Hashtag Oak Island treasure, hashtag Templar gold, hashtag Vatican vault. Conspiracy theorists went wild, claiming the hoard was not treasure, but a seed vault for a new global order. Viral posts argued the coded gold bars weren't currency. They were keys, activating when nodes across the globe were opened. Millions debated in real time whether humanity had stepped into a centuries-old conspiracy. Financial markets, already jittery, trembled. Economists warned that even the idea of $350 million in hidden treasure could destabilize gold markets, especially if more vaults surfaced. Banks worried that investors might dump reserves for fear of hidden hoards. Hedge funds began shifting toward digital assets, not for safety, but because traditional metals suddenly seemed unreliable. How could anyone value gold when unseen vaults could surface at any moment? What began as archaeology had become financial paranoia. Families tuned in nightly, not just for history, but to track their savings, watching as anchors speculated on economic collapse tied to treasures buried by knights centuries ago. The manuscripts had proven one thing: Oak Island was not an isolated anomaly, and as the Vatican maintained its silence, as star charts hinted at further discoveries, and as markets trembled under uncertainty, one terrifying truth became clear. The treasure beneath Oak Island was no longer just history. It was a lever capable of tilting the present, maybe even the future. The fear demanded action. Within days, Canadian naval vessels encircled the island. Gunmetal grey ships patrolled slowly, floodlights scanning the waves, keeping journalists, private boats, and curious locals at bay. Officially, it was framed as heritage protection, but to the Leginas, it felt like a hostile takeover. Officials arrived at the dig with binders full of legal orders, citing preservation and maritime laws. They claimed the discovery belonged not to the brothers who had spent decades digging, but to the state, to be handled as official archaeological property. The United States soon weighed in, citing colonial-era ties and asserting joint heritage claims. Behind closed doors, diplomats argued, lawyers filed motions, and the Leginas were pulled into hearings they weren't prepared for. Rumors swirled of secret auctions, private elites offering billions for select relics, manuscripts, or gold, removed from cameras and public record. Rick's frustration boiled over, caught on live microphones. If this treasure leaves under secrecy, Oak Island's story dies. Everything we've worked for disappears. His words spread across social media, igniting public outrage. But in boardrooms, public sentiment mattered little. Meanwhile, the excavation below revealed something even more extraordinary. A secondary tunnel, narrow but unmistakably artificial, had been concealed behind stone and debris. Ground-penetrating radar traced it far deeper than anyone expected. At its end was a door coated in hardened molten lead, etched with the double-headed eagle, a symbol spanning empires from Byzantium to the Holy Roman Empire, later associated with secret societies whispered about in Masonic lore. Historians on site were stunned. If the gold chamber was remarkable, This door hinted at something far greater, a vault connected not only to the Templars but to the evolution of secret societies across centuries. Scans revealed a cavern far larger than the initial treasure room, capable of holding not millions but potentially billions in relics, or something entirely unknown. And then came the resonance. Instruments picked up low, pulsing vibrations so intense the ground itself seemed to hum in rhythm. The crew grew tense. Cameras captured Marty frozen at the threshold, sweat streaking his face despite the cold. His words, barely audible, carried through every microphone. "This isn't over. We've only opened the first lock." The world, of course, remained unaware of these deeper findings. Public broadcasts showed only neatly stacked gold, displayed chalices, and carefully rolled manuscripts. The $350 million chamber was catalogued, but the story of tunnels, sealed doors, and resonating vaults remained hidden. Viewers demanded transparency. Authorities responded with silence. Pieces of the hoard trickled into museums under vague labels, while the most sensitive manuscripts allegedly went straight to Vatican custody. Through it all, the Leginas were caught in the middle. Heroes to the public, obstacles to the powers at play. Rick bore the burden heavily. Standing in the chamber that had consumed decades of his life, he spoke not of wealth, but of truth. "The treasure was never the gold," he said, eyes fixed on the sealed tunnel below. "The treasure was the secret." The broadcast ended not with triumph, but with a sense of unease. The deeper chamber waited, its molten door untouched, its vibrations pulsing, like the heartbeat of something alive beneath Oak Island. The first vault had dazzled the world, but the ultimate prize, the one that might rewrite history, remained hidden, more dangerous and more mysterious than anyone had imagined. As the days passed, the tension around Oak Island only escalated. The Legina's camp became a fortress of lights, cameras, and sensors. The air seemed charged, as though the island itself was aware of the intrusion. Every time a new artifact was revealed or a manuscript unrolled, instruments detected subtle vibrations in the bedrock. Even the simplest footstep echoed with an almost unnatural resonance, a reminder that the island was not passive, it was alive with secrets. The secondary tunnel beneath the gold chamber dominated every discussion. No one could ignore its presence. The leaden door, etched with the double-headed eagle, whispered of centuries-old machinations. Historians speculated endlessly on what lay behind it. Could it be another hoard, more manuscripts, or something beyond human comprehension, left by minds centuries ahead of their time? Each theory was more unsettling than the last. Rick and Marty debated the ethics of pushing forward. Public pressure demanded disclosure, yet the risks seemed unimaginable. The crew below had already encountered mechanisms that responded to movement, levers, and counterweights, designed with a precision that suggested the chamber could protect itself or trap those who entered. Even seasoned engineers admitted they had no blueprint for what they were witnessing. The Templars, it seemed, had not only hidden their treasures, they had built defenses meant to endure the centuries. Meanwhile, the global response intensified. Governments, scholars, and private organizations all eyed Oak Island as a chessboard. Every sonar ping and drone flight was monitored. Rumors of surveillance drones in Nova Scotian skies fueled conspiracy theorists who claimed the discovery was part of a hidden war for control over forbidden knowledge. Online, forums erupted with speculation. Some claimed the Templars had mapped energy grids, planetary alignments, and ley lines across continents. Others warned of encoded instructions within the manuscripts that could unlock unimaginable power. Inside the dig site, Subtle changes began to unsettle the crew. Instruments recorded low-frequency hums not present before. Compasses spun erratically, and sensitive devices indicated fluctuations in local magnetic fields. Some claimed they heard voices, murmurs in languages long dead, whispers in Latin, French, and Aramaic, seeming to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Rick, always methodical, insisted it was deliberate, the work of a chamber designed to react to intrusion. The island itself, he argued, was a guardian, a carefully constructed system to protect knowledge meant to remain secret. Then came a moment that froze the team. One night, under the dim wash of floodlights, the cameras captured shadows moving across the shoreline, unmarked boats and figures observing silently. No signals, no communication, just watchful presence. Messages began arriving, cryptic, coded, and untraceable, warning the Leginas to proceed with caution. "You have unlocked what was never meant to be seen," one read. "Leave it or risk consequences that will outlast you." The words were clear. Oak Island was not just a location. It was a test, a crucible for those daring enough to disturb its secrets. Despite the warnings, curiosity and determination pushed the crew forward. Using ground-penetrating radar and advanced imaging, they traced the secondary tunnel deeper. Every foot forward revealed more complexities: stone channels, metallic conduits, and unknown devices whose purpose defied explanation. Ancient symbols and diagrams on the walls suggested a code, a language of engineering and mysticism intertwined. Every discovery deepened the mystery. The Templars had not simply hidden wealth, they had encoded knowledge designed for those clever and persistent enough to uncover it. Public broadcasts could not convey the full scope. Outside, viewers saw gold, relics, and manuscripts, but the intricate systems, the secondary chambers, and the humming resonance remained hidden. Even as museum curators received portions of the treasure, rumors persisted that the most sensitive artifacts, scrolls describing star alignments, mechanical designs, and ancient technologies, were secured directly by authorities, never to be examined publicly. Yet, the Leginas persisted. In a daring operation, they prepared to breach the leaden door. Engineers worked tirelessly, devising tools capable of cutting through centuries-old molten lead without disturbing potential traps. As the team approached, the ground hummed with increasing intensity. Instruments detected vibrations pulsing in sync with an unseen rhythm, as though the island itself was counting down. Rick, standing before the sealed door, felt the weight of centuries on his shoulders. "This isn't just history," he said quietly, voice trembling. "This is a legacy, a warning, a responsibility. What's behind this door could change everything we thought we knew about our world, our knowledge, our past, and maybe even our future."